Hello, everyone. How's it going? I'm hitting buttons wrong left and right tonight, or just not at all. Welcome on in. I'm Ben. This is the HP Podcast. As always, we've got the beautiful boys here with us for episode number 352. We'll go to Dave first. Dave, hello and welcome.
Hey, Ben. How are you? It's good to see you. It's good to see you both. It's good to see the audience. I can't see them, but, you know, they're there. I can feel them.
Well, you know. I mean, if you can feel them, is there really any difference?
No. You know, as long as they're hitting one of the senses, then we're good. So, yeah. I'm assuming you're going to ask me how my week was. So, it was great.
No.
I don't know if you noticed, but in the background, there's a slight difference. The thing that my TV is sitting on is different. So I used to just have one of those like 2-row calyx things from IKEA, and I've replaced that with another IKEA piece. But the interesting thing is this isn't new. I'm the second owner of this.
Okay.
And I think the part I'm most impressed about is this came from the great city of Brampton. And it needed to be disassembled in order to be transported. So I think I'm the first person in the history of humankind to disassemble a piece of IKEA furniture, move it, and then reassemble it, and it still be in perfect condition. So I like to congratulate myself, and I'm very happy with that.
Thank the Academy, all that kind of stuff while you're at it. Yeah, that's a pretty big feat because IKEA furniture is known for like being functional, working for what you need it to be, and being cheap, but it's not necessarily known for its resilience.
I find just moving things like around the room is difficult enough, but the thought of disassembling something almost completely that comes from IKEA with those tiny little dowel and the little like lock nuts that you kind of like turn 180 degrees and
Yeah.
that kind of like and it's not wood, it's basically like a step above cardboard is what
Yeah.
it's made out of. So yeah, the second I like pulled it out, and I rented a van and everything for it, but the second like we kind of pulled it out of the room and I looked at like the stairs, because of course it's always upstairs,
Yeah.
and I realized that it wasn't going to go down the stairs, I thought this isn't making it home. But I mean, I'd already rented the truck, I already had driven like an hour and a half, so I was committed to at least give it the old college try, and sure enough, it all worked out. So yeah.
Now, Dave, the economics of that interest me. It was still IKEA furniture is, I mean, it's not free, but it's not expensive. This was still cheap enough with renting a truck and buying the piece of furniture and your gas and your time to justify it.
So there's a couple things here. First off, that particular unit is no longer on sale in Canada or the U.S. as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is I had a friend who moved from Brampton to downtown Toronto in January, and this piece couldn't be moved to his new place. So part of it too was, if I hadn't have bought this from him, it would have just been an issue for him later down the line. So part of it too was like I was helping him kind of move a big bulky piece of furniture out of his house.
Yeah.
Otherwise it just would have been trashed. Or
He should have paid you, really.
Yeah, you know, that thought crossed my mind as I was pulling it apart and throwing it in the van. I'm like, I think I paid too much for this. But hey, it wasn't a random guy on Facebook Marketplace or something. It was a legitimate friend. So
Right.
economically, it kind of, it was more than just the economics of the deal. It was, you know, helping a friend out and him helping me. So, you know, when you get something like that and it's like you don't want to like part ways with it, but
Yeah.
you're happy to see it sort of have longevity with someone else, you know, in your family or friend group or something. It was kind of like that. Now, we're just talking about a piece of IKEA furniture, but you know, there can be sentimentality in anything. So
Yeah, I suppose so. You were asking, like, oh, you guys probably noticed something different in my background. The screen you guys have, I think, is like our full images, but mine is a control panel.
right.
And I kid you not, the little pictures I have of you are like 2 by 1 inches on my screen.
Okay.
So I actually had to look over at the YouTube chat to see your backgrounds
Right.
instead of just
Yeah.
looking at, yeah.
It looks
was
very
little-
similar, and there's like the thing on the side that I've got all my Funko Pops in and my games and stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna kind of enhance the whole thing a little bit more. But
That's
Dave, the notorious Funko Pop person. That's what we
I
all
didn't
think
know-
of him for.
I didn't know what else to put on those glass shelves, so I just
Yeah.
put them in.
Brandon, hello, my friend.
What's up? What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Seems like we're doing all right.
Yeah, I'm doing all right too. A little tired, but hey, what the fuck's new?
Yeah. What'd you do with your Wednesdays are your day off, notoriously.
Yeah.
We've talked about it on the show. What'd you do with your day off today?
I had a doctor's appointment. I had a therapy appointment.
Yep.
I made myself dinner. I played video games, and here I am.
It's a pretty good day.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, except for the appointments.
Yeah. I always end up having.
It doesn't matter how
Something
much
going on.
you enjoy them once you're there or how much you need them or you know it's the right thing. Any kind of appointments just kind of suck.
Yeah, it's true. I kind of had a looming air over me all day, no matter what I was doing. I just kind of wanted to get the shit done with. You know what I mean? So I made dinner, made myself one hell of a mess in the kitchen. I'm going to have to clean up here shortly. That's the worst part about cooking. If it was just cooking, that would be okay. But the fact you have to clean it all up, and I don't know about you guys, but when I make something, the kitchen often looks like it exploded after I do that. With
What did you
bowls.
make tonight specifically?
I made beef kibasi with
Okay.
sauerkraut and garlic butter egg noodles with crushed red pepper mixed parmesan.
Damn.
Sounds pretty lit.
Yeah, it was very good. It was very good. And I had the kibasi on hot dog buns with the sauerkraut. It was exceptional. I got myself a little lunch for tomorrow as well. So
Nice. I have not had the kitchen exploding extravaganza, as you put it, happen to me specifically, but I do understand the scenario. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, but I'm very much a like put things away as I go kind of person.
Oh
when I
wow.
cook. Mostly because it never fails when I make something and then I go to eat it. All like I'm not enjoying it. All I'm thinking about is, well, gotta go clean that shit up. So if I just put it away as I go, then there's very little to do afterwards, and I feel less stress about it.
Yeah.
100% with you there.
Yeah. Mine's the dishes too.
Yeah.
Because I'm the dishwasher. So
I have a dishwasher, but I also have children, and I make them do the dishes.
maybe that's a reason for me to have some.
I mean, whatever it takes, right? No, they have they rotate. Like 1 week, one of them will be on laundry duty, and the other one will be on dishes duty, and then that rotates every week. And that's, I mean, like obviously we ask them like clean up your stuff, and maybe occasionally can you run this out to the garbage or something like that. But that the dishes and the laundry are like their responsibility for that week. And that's kind of all we ask of them, other than like to be a normal human. So I don't feel like it's too much, and it's very helpful because we're always doing other stuff. So
Yeah, that's a pretty good argument to have two. I think I could probably min max this by having more and continuing to add
yeah,
like maybe like a stepchild could do like a small task like taking out the trash once a week and then they could leave.
yeah.
Um
Why only once a week though?
Every time you buy a new plate, you have another kid to wash their plate.
I guess I mean to the curb
Yeah,
for trash day.
right.
Um
How far
Dishes-
outside of your house does your trash go when you like empty the bag from the garbage can?
maybe like 24 paces.
2000. So like we're in the 1860s, and we're talking in Wild West paces. Yeah. Okay. Dave, what about you? How far away is your outside garbage receptacle from your back door or your front door, wherever you take it?
I'm gonna count next time, but I think it's probably about 24 paces.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is like just out on our back kind of porch around the corner from it. So it's like if it was pouring, you could still get there without getting too wet
Right.
really quickly.
That's
I don't know
a
how
good
many
measure, is
paces.
How wet would you get in a rainstorm?
Well, it depends on the velocity of the rain and the
average rainstorm.
the average rainstorm.
I'd be damn.
I'm gonna say like you would know you got wet, but it wouldn't be uncomfortable.
You would need to change.
No,
Yeah.
not for me.
Yeah, me neither. A lot of the walking is just walking down like a span of a hallway. That's most of the paces. I think the hallway leading up to the outside may be as many paces as from my door to the curb. So
Do the paces start when you leave your house or when you leave where the garbage is inside?
I would say the paces start from the foot of the trash can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. Yeah.
I'm gonna report back, I think.
I'm going to make a really bold prediction and say that this might be the most interesting discussion we've ever had on this show. Or ever maybe will have, honestly. Let's look at the chat for a minute. I'm going to ignore Derek for now. Ash says the podcast needs to be sponsored by IKEA. You know what?
That would be awesome, actually.
We have some ads on the show that don't really make much money. And by that, I mean like they don't make money. And we've got the Patreon, which we really appreciate. You can join us over at patreon.com/handsomephantom. One time we had a Balls energy drink sponsorship,
Balls Guarana.
which they mostly sent us like a bunch of swag and like 12 cases of Balls Guarana, all different flavors. That was cool, but they didn't pay us. Back in the day, I had paying sponsors for an old podcast I had, but that was before everybody had a podcast, so it was much slimmer pickings if you wanted to advertise. So you know what? I'd say IKEA, hit us up. Basically anybody. We'll take your money. I can't guarantee you'll get reach out of it. I can't guarantee we'll sell any products, but we will take your money. That is a guarantee.
I would even take like one of those little Swedish flags. You know?
Hot
Some
dogs.
meatballs.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
meatballs.
Yeah.
Wait, do they have hot dogs too, Dave?
Yeah.
Whoa.
The food court. You got to get the hot dogs
I thought you got to get the meatballs.
and the meatballs. Yeah.
What makes them so special? I've always been too turned off. Like, I don't know, something about it is strange to me. I've never actually sat down, even though I've heard like mixed things, mixed to positive things. Like, it's a tradition. I don't know that it's exceptional food, but if you're there, a lot of people eat. But I can't do it.
It's cheap, and it's kind of like there's something about the potatoes and the meatballs together, the mashed potatoes and the meatballs, that just make it like it's like going to Costco and getting the hot dog. Like, it's just part of the experience.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was thinking of it like.
And I know people who just go to IKEA to eat. Like, it's like a restaurant.
Yeah.
That is actually, yeah,
that's a mental illness. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, they walk around and shop, but the purpose of the visit is to go eat.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the counter at the end. I'm talking about the food court in the IKEA.
Sure.
Right.
Not all IKEAs have that food court, but most of them do, I think. Most of them. Right. Radix says the soft serve ice cream as well. I've never had IKEA soft serve ice cream.
Hard ice cream is just factually better than soft serve in every way.
But does IKEA have hard serve ice cream?
Even if they did, I wouldn't know. You like soft serve, Dave?
I do. Yeah.
More than scoop hard ice cream?
I think I do. They're both
It's a
really
flavor
good
thing for me.
if given the opportunity to pick one. And I know one is probably more real, but yeah, soft serve, like McFlurry. I had one of those last night. Oh, dog.
It's a flavor thing for me too. I feel like the hard ice creams offer such a better flavor
I meant it
experience.
varies flavor to flavor. Like, if it's just straight up vanilla, I want that bad boy soft serve on a cone.
Right.
But if I'm getting something a little more extravagant,
Rocky
know,
Road.
yeah, some Rocky Road, some cookies and cream. I don't want that soft serve, right? I want that, like, I want it hard, if you know what I mean.
Why is it soft?
Edward Walton says, "Good evening, gents, from a Costco gas station." Edward, go inside and get yourself a pizza and a hot dog.
Get one slice of pizza and a hot dog, and take the hot dog off the bun, and then fold the pizza as the bun, and put the hot dog in the middle.
You could do that if you wanted, but you don't have to.
No, you should do it.
Derek O says, "My brother became a chef because our house rule growing up was if you cooked, you don't have to clean." That's a pretty good rule. It's a pretty good rule, but I'd rather cook than clean, for sure. Absolutely.
My ex's family had a similar rule to that, where like if you cooked, whoever cooked,
someone cooked here.
The rest of the people had to clean it up. If you went through the work of doing it, then you didn't have to clean the shit up. I feel like that's kind of fair too.
Brandon, something in the last 2 minutes changed, and you are incredibly loud to me. Dave, is it the same for you, or
no? It's just you.
But you sound the same, Dave. Can't be on me. I'm just going to turn
it's your fault. I'm just saying I'm not experiencing the same thing.
But what I'm saying, Dave, is that you're wrong.
Did I do something wrong?
I guess not.
You've never done anything wrong in your life, Brandon.
That's so untrue.
Radix says Costco son or IKEA daughter. Derek says Costco 1000%. Now, I don't have either of them close to me, but I've been to both. And I would say you can't really compare them. They're completely different experiences.
Costco son is essentially like, AJ and Big Justice. That's what I think of automatically.
Yeah.
IKEA daughter just makes me think of like a little Swedish schoolgirl or something. You know what I mean?
Why she got to be little and in school?
Because I'm comparing children right now.
Okay, that's fair. I guess. Welcome to the HP podcast. I think we have wasted a lot of time. But it's not really wasted if we enjoyed it, right? So
it's about the friends we made.
We normally drag this out when there's nothing to talk about, but we actually have a lot to get through tonight. So
we can cut most of it. It's shit.
Good job selling the show.
You know what? Cut it all. Let's keep this going.
This is what matters. This is the conversation that matters. As I mentioned before, you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/handsomephantom. Join the show for as little as $1 a month. Get ad-free early audio access to the show. And just make our days. We appreciate it. You can also join us on Discord at handsomephantom.com/Discord. We talk about all sorts of crazy stuff in there. Costco, IKEA, feet from time to time for some reason. We have it all. Let's talk about the first news story, and that is we're just going to talk about the Halo campaign Evolved reveal. We've kind of had some rumors of this coming along the way, but Halo campaign Evolved is going to be releasing next year, and it's coming to, of course, Xbox. It's coming to PC for the Microsoft Store. It's coming to Steam. It's coming to PS5. It'll support Xbox Cloud Gaming. It'll support Play Anywhere. It'll be on Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass. Boys, I want to hear what you guys think about this. Brandon, let's go to you first for your thoughts on the Halo Combat Evolved remake or whatever it is.
Campaign.
Yeah. I mean, I literally predicted this. I knew it was going to happen. It is a bit surprising that it's coming out PlayStation Day 1, and I think that's kind of cool. I think Xbox needs a win right now. They need the extra money, especially with the past 2 or 3 weeks of Xbox news that we've been reading off. It feels like they're potentially hemorrhaging at this point. But yeah, it looks great. It looks really good. Ever since we saw those stills of Master Chief a while back in Unreal Engine 5, I feel like it was a pretty safe bet to assume something like this would be happening. I will say I'm a bit disappointed that I don't think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's just the story. I think they're completely omitting the multiplayer, which is a very unfortunate misstep. It makes sense because that sort of thing does take a lot more time to develop and hone and support. And so I get why they're not doing it, but it's disappointing nonetheless. I think it looks great. I'm still a little bit concerned with Unreal Engine 5. Very few developers have come away unscathed from the madness that is Unreal Engine 5 and the persistent issues that come with that engine. And I have next to no faith in 343 to be able to execute anything correctly at this point. We can just take Master Chief Collection as an example, albeit an amazing collection of games at this point. But how long did it take for it to get there?
Close to a year, easily, for it to get in working condition. Yeah,
working condition, but like good condition, years.
Yeah,
like really solid, excellent working polish, years. So I have very little faith in 343. I'm just going to double down on that. I think it looks great. I'm very excited for it, and depending on the price, if they announce the price, I would bet it's going to be $60 or $70. It has to be because it's a full remake, right? But and they definitely want to get that PlayStation money. It doesn't have to be. I agree with you, but it will be.
Yeah.
I would almost bet money on it, but yeah, it looks great. A little bit worried about Unreal Engine 5, and we'll probably end up getting it on PlayStation at some point, just for the novelty of having Chief on the PlayStation. But not really because I want to play it that much. I have the Master Chief Collection, and even though this does look a lot better, it's not really that big of a deal to me. So,
Dave Ash says, as a Sony guy, I would have liked to have seen the Master Chief Collection ported over. What do you think?
I think that collection is like 10 years old now. And I think for the 25th anniversary of not just Xbox, but Master Chief also turns 25 next year too. I don't know what the hell's going on with my camera. I don't think a port of a 10-year-old collection is enough. I don't necessarily think that this is enough either. In fact, like a lot of people, I'm really struggling with the lack of multiplayer because like games from this era, Call of Duty, Battlefield, I think Halo and I think multiplayer. So to finally have Halo on Sony consoles, on other consoles, and to not have that key piece of the experience, I really struggle with that. Now, unlike Battlefield and Call of Duty, I do think that the campaign from Halo is a significant part of the experience. It's not like the others where it's a pack in, and like if it wasn't there alongside the multiplayer, it's not a big deal. I think with Halo, you can get away with parsing out the multiplayer from the campaign, and we kind of saw that with Halo Infinite. If you guys recall, I don't know if they came out the same day, but they were kind of treated as separate packages where you had the Halo Infinite campaign and then the multiplayer was a separate thing that was free to play. You didn't need to buy it separately. Didn't even need Xbox Live to play it. So I'm thinking about the relative inactivity of 343 around Infinite's multiplayer, and I'm wondering if they've been working on like a soft reboot of that we're also going to see next year, because I think that would be really cool. I think Master Chief deserves a big 2026 for the 20th anniversary, 25th anniversary, and I just think that a campaign remake isn't enough for me. But that alongside with the relaunch of Infinite's multiplayer, I do think would be a really cool way to kind of celebrate Halo. So I hope there's more. On its own, I mean, this looks pretty cool. There is co-op that's going to be launching with this, so I think 4-player co-op is what they said. It looks great. They're adding in new missions, which for a game is important to kind of pop culture as Halo Combat Evolved is really cool, that we're actually going to be getting some new content. But yeah, I really hope we see multiplayer shortly after we get Campaign Evolved.
Where do you think you'll play it, Dave? If you play it.
I think I would play it on PlayStation. All things being equal, I would play it on PlayStation because I just, having Halo in Unreal Engine 5, I want it to look its best. And being a Series S owner, I'm already starting to see, a kind of a really downgraded experience there. So I think I'd want to play it on PlayStation. I don't really care too much about the novelty of playing a Halo game on a Sony console, but I think I would just want the highest fidelity experience that I could get. So I think it'd be over on PlayStation. What about you?
I'd play it on PC if I played it again for the probably 900th time. No, I've probably played Combat Evolved like 6 or 7 times in the course of, I mean, maybe more than that if you consider like playing it with buddies when it first came out back in the day. Dave, you're really struggling over there. That camera.
Just ignore me.
Okay. I agree with you about the whole novelty thing. And I mean, I don't have a problem with people who do think it's cool. But for me, like once I boot up a game, the system it's on kind of disappears to me. And I know there's so many arguments about like inset or offset joysticks or whatever on the controllers, and I've always had a preference for Sony controllers, but I've never disliked Xbox controllers. Like they feel fine to me, so right. I think it like kind of fades away from me. So if I were going to play it on a console, I wouldn't really care where, but I'm probably going to play it on PC if I check it out. Like I said, I don't know. I know they're making some changes and there's going to be some graphical updates and all that kind of stuff, but like, I don't know if it's worth another $50 to $70 for me to play the same game, but a little better. I named the show. What did I name the show? I named the show something like The Same But Different, and it wasn't even in relation to this. It was in relation to a story we have later about PS6, but it works for this story too. Anything else on Halo on PlayStation? I do think it's kind of monumental as far as like, oh, they're bringing it to PlayStation, but like also it's a 25-year-old IP that they're just milking to death at this point, right? So yeah. Is it? I don't know. Let's move on and talk a little bit more about Xbox. Got an article from Windows Central's Jez Corden here. Says Microsoft's ambitious new Xbox, your entire Xbox console library, the full power of Windows PC gaming, and no multiplayer paywall. Xbox is dead. Long live Xbox, as the saying goes. No gaming platform in history has ever been declared as many times as Xbox, yet live, it still does. Excuse me. Microsoft itself earned itself plenty of the condemnation, though, when you put the clickbaitery aside. Owing to a variety of rapid-fire strategy changes, large-scale layoffs, and disappointing price hikes, Microsoft hasn't exactly ingratiated itself to the remaining Xbox faithful as of late. Another wave of Xbox's doomed declarations dropped as Halo was finally announced for PlayStation last week, something we knew was happening for at least a year prior. But there are still reasons to remain optimistic for the future viability of the Xbox ecosystem, even without exclusive games. It goes on to say, here's what we know about the next-gen Xbox from Microsoft. CEO Phil Spencer has been teasing for years what next-gen will look like for Xbox, as people wondered exactly how this strategy might pan out. Last week, Phil Spencer said that people should look to the Xbox Ally for an idea of where Xbox is headed, and we spoke to our trusted sources over the weekend to learn a bit more about what that means. As many of us have come to expect, the next Xbox will indeed run full-bore Windows with a TV-optimized console-style experience layered on top. Microsoft decided to sideline its own Xbox handheld plans and go to market with the Xbox Ally in partnership with Asus this year to start gathering feedback on the experience that will essentially power its next wave of console hardware. Told that Microsoft still plans to make its own Xbox handheld eventually too, along the lines of this new plan. Sarah Bond has teased a variety of Xbox first-party hardware made in partnership with AMD. So, the next Xbox may not be a handheld, but we know that, or at least we are assuming, and Jez is saying here, he assumes, and his sources tell him, that the next Xbox is going to be a PC with Xbox on it. Dave, how do you feel about that approach? And especially in relationship to what we talked about, I think it was last week, where we talked about the fact that Xbox will be the next one will be a more premium experience.
I feel good about this. And this is still technically a rumor report. Nothing's been substantiated yet. I think Microsoft has hinted at some of this, but we don't have an official announcement. But assuming this is accurate or going down the right road, I said this in our Discord, but like the paywall free multiplayer, I did say that it would take something pretty big for me to kind of get excited for the next Xbox. And personally, I'm sad to say, but this is I don't want to say it, but this is a pretty big deal. I said for a while that, one of my biggest gripes with modern gaming is, as much as I want to spend $100 on Call of Duty every couple of years, I just can't bring myself to do it because, I play for like a month and then I put it down and come back, and I don't want to have to shell out $10, $15 every time to renew a subscription. And there's a lot of games like that. I'm having a great time playing Borderlands 4 right now, but if I want to play co-op with a buddy, I have to have PS Plus, and that really annoys me because there's just that little string attached every time you want to access a pretty significant part of the game. So if Microsoft is willing to bring an experience to the table where there aren't those paywalls, then that's something that gets my attention. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that there aren't going to be other strings attached. There's going to be other paywalls. There's going to be other microtransactions. But if this is the step they're taking, then I think this is a good step to take because it's removing another barrier. They're trying to get all their different games on other consoles. They're just, removing these barriers to kind of play their games. So that's something that's important to me. So if there was paywall free multiplayer, then that's something that I would be interested in. And the whole, well, it's just a Microsoft or an Xbox skin PC. I get that the people who listen to this show and maybe some people who are more hardcore gamers would kind of scoff at that. But for the average gamer, buying a PC is not very easy. And, we often talk about building a PC, but even just going out and buying a pre-built is like the average gamer doesn't have the knowledge to know what they need to go out and buy. And they may not know the difference between a 3070 and a 5070 or whatever. So I think this is an approachable way to get into something that is like PC gaming adjacent. And I think Microsoft has that goodwill in that name brand that would make the average gamer kind of interested to buy their thing. And I also kind of said, like, if the next Xbox is competitive with pre-built PCs, then why not? Like, it's starting to add up to me, and I'm not sold yet, but I think this is a good approach, and there aren't many in the industry who can take these steps. So I don't know. I'm really curious to see more. Again, these are all just rumors and reports, but I think Microsoft might be onto something here, and they seem to be listening to what gamers have issues with. And yeah, so this is something I'm definitely going to be paying attention to. So,
Brandon, as currently you're mostly a PC gamer, this may not affect you as dramatically, but if Xbox is more of a PC-based console, does that make you more interested in moving back to that ecosystem?
No. But I actually called this as well. Literally months ago, when we were talking about Xbox failing, this was months and months ago. I said I expect them to go the PC route, more modular, more customizable. I would have never guessed that they would have dropped the whole online subscription thing, and that's kind of one of the big rumors circulating right now. But if you're more PC based, then there is actually no reason to do that. You know what I mean? So I think this is going to be good for them. I called it then. I'm calling it now. I think the PCification of Xbox is going to be how they continue to thrive in this market. If they sidestep the competition that so overwhelmed them completely, I feel like this will give them the edge that they need to kind of continue to progress the brand. And honestly, I'm all for it. I think that Dave is right. I think that there's a lot that goes into PC, even buying one pre-built. And I think this is going to be a nice step for people that don't want to monkey around with it. As they continue to step into the PC space, I really hope, much like the ROG Ally, there is ways to sidestep the interface, though. I think regardless of if you've played on PC or on console, I think Steam is a force to be reckoned with. And I have a feeling they're going to try and lock you out of it, but I really hope they don't. The ROG Ally was kind of like an experimental thing. They're just kind of dipping their toes, and it's in partnership with another company. So I feel like that's kind of allowable then, but I wonder if they're not going to, tighten the collar a bit and lock it down, so to speak. And not to say that there's usually not ways around that when things have windows on them, but I really hope they spread the love. And I think that'd be good for a lot of people.
Brandon, I'm going to be annoying for a minute. You're like on my meter here on this back end, you're like peeking out and hurting my ears. I keep turning you down, but could you just check your mic input volume? I know this is really entertaining.
Yeah, I turned it up for RV there yet, and I'm sure it's still up.
Okay. Cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. It's like throwing errors at me. Like, this person is too loud. And I'm like, I know, but he said he wasn't. Thanks, brother. Yeah. It seems to me that the biggest complaint, and there are other complaints too, but the biggest complaint about the ROG Ally is that people don't want to ever, like the people who are Xbox natives, don't want to ever see anything that's not Xbox, basically. They don't want to ever see Windows. They don't want to have to deal with any of the annoying, admittedly annoying PC-related stuff. So for this console or whatever it ends up being to be successful, I do think that they're going to need to really cover that up to make it as seamless an experience. And I think the Steam Deck is a great example. Like, you boot up a Steam Deck, you can sign into your library, only ever play Steam games in the Steam environment, and never even know that it's really a personal computer as well. If you want to, you can go into the desktop mode and tinker around and stuff like that. And I think that's what you're saying, Brandon. Is that's definitely much more appealing to a larger group of players. There are people like us, me specifically too, that may want to go in and tinker around with that stuff and be able to install mods and do different things in the back end. But your average person likes consoles because it's just you get to play and you don't have to mess with all the other stuff. So if you could have the power and the flexibility of a PC with the ease of, essentially something like big picture mode or just like the Xbox store or whatever, I think that would go a lot further than making it an app on Windows.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it would be very easy to do exactly as the Steam Deck does and essentially lock it down with a little barrier of entry. Like if you hide something in the settings and you say, "Are you sure you want to do this?" If nobody goes digging, they could never know, right? But I feel like it's crucial and I feel like it's almost necessary that they allow you to do that if it is in fact a Windows machine to go outside of the system if you want. Key being if you want.
Right. Anything further on the next gen of Xbox, which we'll probably be talking about for another 2 years or more? Eurogamer says, former PlayStation executive Shuhei Yoshida believes Sony cannot do the same thing they've been doing with PS6, as even he cannot tell the difference between improved graphics these days. 5 years into the PS5's life cycle, there's been discussion on its improvements over the last generation. As well as what the next generation of consoles could bring. Speaking to Skill Up, Yoshida discussed the differing strategies between Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony with their current consoles and wants to see Sony bring something different in the future. Quote, PlayStation is the most interesting thing because Moore's Law has matured so much you don't get as much benefits. He said, referencing the diminishing returns of increased computing power. Graphics have almost hit to the level that even I cannot tell the difference between some of the graphic capabilities, like ray traced or not ray traced, unless it's side by side. While he admitted he has zero information about their plans, Yoshida said PlayStation clearly cannot do the same thing they've been doing, increasing the graphics bar and providing high-end experiences. They might just do that, but that feels like a niche audience right now. There's a lot more here in this article if you want to check it out. It's over at Eurogamer. I think, it's crazy when people say they can't tell differences and things like that. Like for instance, ray tracing and not ray tracing. I was watching something with my wife the other day, and it was something that was in a foreign language. Well, the whole thing wasn't in a foreign language, but there were parts of it that were spoken in foreign language. And so the subtitles would pop up, during those parts. And every time the subtitles would pop up, the video would hitch just a tad. And I don't know if it was the way it was encoded or what, but it wasn't crazy, but it was enough for me to notice it and be irritated by it. And I kept asking her, I'm like, do you not see that? And she's like, no. And I'm like, I'm jealous that you can't see that because I can. But I wanted to know what you guys think about Shuhei Yoshida, known PlayStation personality, not just personality, but employee for many years and a beloved one at that, saying that they can't continue to do the same thing they've been doing. Brandon, as the only person in the podcast room that's met the man, which bears no meaning on this conversation whatsoever, I'll let you go first.
Shu is an absolute legend, through and through. Yeah, just he's swinging. Let's say that. And there's, yeah, I tend to agree with him. I think that we've kind of reached a point in gaming where graphical fidelity and realism doesn't necessarily mean a whole fucking lot. I think the piece that Shu's kind of missing here, that he didn't say, and that I think is probably the solution, is continuing to hone the optimization of games. As games have gotten more complex, we end up getting games that look really beautiful. And I'm not disagreeing with him that we've kind of almost reached, pseudo ceiling here, but that the problem now being that games aren't performing as well. And it's not for lack of power. So Sony really doesn't have any control over that whatsoever, unless it's first party. They might have some sort of say in minimum specs or minimum performance requirements. But yeah, I mean, I think the reality of the situation is that there's a lot more power than's being utilized by the software a lot of the time. And that's not something that's touched here from what Chu said. I don't know that I necessarily agree with him, though. Like, I don't know that Sony has much to do with those things in many games that are released now. So I don't quite understand the take 100%. I mean, maybe I'm just missing something. Dave?
I agree with the take that I think from a technical visual perspective, kind of hit a ceiling, or it certainly feels that way. It felt like the first half of this generation, most of the big AAA titles were still releasing on last gen, which is and visually there didn't seem to be that much of a difference. Horizon Forbidden West was a big one because that was like a pretty strong leap visually, but then when you looked at the PS4 version, it didn't look like that big of a difference. So I don't know. Personally, I've kind of lost trust in next gen from a technical perspective because I don't know that visual fidelity was the selling point for PlayStation 5 Series X, but I certainly feel like the move to like native 4K and frames per second maxing out and that kind of stuff was certainly one of the biggest selling points, and I'm not really seeing it in the games. And again, I just kind of think we may have hit or are really approaching that ceiling where it can't all be about technical fidelity, and we're not going to get the same fizzle that we did from like the seventh and eighth gen of consoles when we were moving into like HD and super high res textures. And like the first time everybody saw Uncharted, it was like, we're watching a movie or we're playing a movie. Like, this is crazy. The production value here is unreal. So I think, we have seen attempts to evolve gameplay, and I think they're mostly failed. But you look at stuff like 3D and VR and AR and motion controls and stuff like that, and it just hasn't really worked to enhance the immersion. So I do think that the selling point for the next gen can't be purely technical. I think there has to be other things that they need to sell gamers on. And we've been talking about the changes in the market from a pricing perspective. $1,000 is going to be the floor. Like, we're not seeing a console launch for any less than $999 in the US. So what's going to be the selling point? We're starting to see what it is for Microsoft. Yoshida's right. Like, Sony can't just do the same old thing and spout a bunch of useless numbers out there. Like, I don't know what the numbers are on the PS5 Pro, but I can't imagine that thing is selling too hot. I'm sure they've sold their inventory, but I'm sure those production levels were fairly low. So I don't know. My hopes aren't high, but we started to again see this like barrier-free approach where multiplayer is free, or there aren't exclusives, or more free to play. I want, like, we're going to talk about Vermintide 2 in a second, but I want crossplay to not even be part of the conversation anymore. Like, let me play anywhere with anything. But then the question becomes, how does Sony profit? Like, if we're removing all these barriers, where is the opportunity for Microsoft and Sony to actually compete for your business? But I can't really see where the selling point's going to be. But I 100% agree with Yoshida. It can't just be about visuals anymore. There's got to be something more, because I think they failed with this generation.
Do you remember when this gen came out and the few PS5 exclusive games that were out there? I'm thinking of specifically at launch. We had Returnal and Ratchet and Clank, and both of them were like, these games can't happen on another console. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. But there was some like, oh wow, this is crazy kind of feel about the way the game was handling things. I don't feel like there was as big of an emphasis this gen on like, these graphics are insane. I feel like their marketing early on was, this is what this can do here. And some of the big selling points were the controller. Like the DualSense was a huge selling point, and so much is that they made an entire pack-in to try to show you all the great things about the controller, which of course you would already only know if you already had the console or had been experiencing it at someone else's house or something like that. But so I'm not really sure what the marketing angle there was from that perspective, but I don't know what it should be either in the future. I think Brandon's right. They just need to prove, like, Brandon, you said something and I knew what you meant, but I disagree with how you said it. You said they don't really have any control over these third-party games and how they're performing, but they do. Like, they can just tell them, you cannot release on our platform unless it is the most optimized version. And yeah, that's not good for business. That's not a smart thing. Their investors wouldn't like less games coming out. But if they wanted to provide me with the assurance that if I buy a PlayStation console, I'm going to have the best experience ever, they could charge me a little more money. And if I knew that my experience wasn't going to be a buggy, broken mess, I'd be way more likely to pull the trigger on $1,000 or $1,500 if it is than I would for $500. It's like, okay, yeah. I mean, that's not a small investment by any means, but it's like, that's more palatable than $1,500 or something. But if I knew it's going to be the best possible experience I could get on a console, making their games perfect would be something that would put me over the edge. Man, I love that train. It's just so good every time it goes by while I'm talking.
I love it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is going to define this generation? When we look back on PS5, Series X, PC in this kind of 10-year span, what do you think is going to define this generation? What are you going to think of, you know?
I really do think very highly of the DualSense controller. It's weird to think that a peripheral is the defining feature for me, but like that's how I interact with every game I play on PlayStation. So there is a huge impact there for it being a phenomenal controller. I think the other thing that will define it for me is how my PlayStation broke and they wouldn't fix it. But that's a not a widespread issue like a red ring or a yellow ring or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Truthfully, I guess the hop into like consistent 60 frames a second would be something that kind of sticks out to me, or at least as consistent as it can get on these consoles. But the majority of games are able to hit a pretty steady 60 frames per second on PS5 consistently. And even a lot of the games towards the end of the PS4 cycle were able to hit that. Even on my base PS4, some of the games were able to hit that. So to have that leap consistently in games, never really going above that, like the whole 120 frames a thing for PS5 games is kind of like a scam, if you ask me. It's kind of few and far between, but the leap to 60, I think, was the biggest thing that kind of solidified this generation for me.
Right.
Derek O says the PS5 gen will be defined as the generation that didn't end the previous generation.
Yeah, for real, though.
That is very true. I mean, I know that it's slowed down now, but it was crazy how that first year and a half of PS5, and I know there are all sorts of factors to it, but the real big factor was probably just quantity driven, right? Sales driven, that we just had so many games that it was like, you bought a brand new console, congratulations, you could have played this one on your old one. And yeah, I am someone who wants the better experience. I want the higher frame rates, I want the smoother looking graphics, I want whatever. But like, I think we've seen it time and time and time again that the majority of people playing games don't care as much as we do, which is insane to me, as I mentioned earlier. But I can understand why people wouldn't have early on wanted to upgrade, especially like right in the midst of COVID and everything.
This is going to sound negative, but I honestly think, I know these things didn't start with this generation, but I certainly think they kind of gained popularity. But I think in 10 years, when I think back to this generation, I'm going to think of subscription services and the death of ownership. Because never have I had to wrestle this much with buying this other thing every time. And I talked about it earlier on the show, but I think, and I don't know if this is going to evolve in the next generation, but that really, to me, has been the defining feature, is just subscriptions.
I think that goes for all of entertainment right now.
Yeah.
Because we have subscriptions with streaming services, we have subscriptions with gaming services, we even have movie theater subscriptions now that, you know, you sign up and you get to go to X amount of movies per month or whatever. So subscriptions are, I mean, that is where the money's at. I get it. It's a smart business move.
Yeah.
But it is a irritating one for the consumer. Ash says, what defines this generation? Disappointing Unreal Engine 5 games. That is true. And that's a problem that everybody has no matter what console it is.
And that's going to continue to be a problem, it seems, for years.
Yeah.
Because Tim Sweeney certainly does not fucking care. We learned that a couple weeks ago. He said, figure it out your fucking self.
That's a good paraphrase of, yeah, for sure. Derek O says Marvel Rivals just got a PlayStation 4 port. Why is this still happening this deep in? Well, I imagine, Derek, it has something to do with the fact that Marvel Rivals is insanely popular still, and they saw a money opportunity and took it. That's what I would guess.
Yeah, it's not a very demanding game. I'm surprised it didn't come out on that to begin with.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Visually, it's not like it's contained, right? And it doesn't have some crazy art style.
No.
Or graphical pulls. I'm not saying it doesn't look good, but I didn't even know it wasn't on last gen. To be honest with you, I just assumed it would have been.
I would be more irritated if it was a first party game that came out for PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series, and they were like, all right, we're going to send it back to the last gen too after it was out, than with some third party who sees a money opportunity. I mean, I don't know how many PS4s are still active on a monthly basis or whatever.
I'd say a lot.
But I guarantee it's many, many millions, and it's worth putting a free-to-play game on there.
Right.
And yeah, these guys, they've done their research. It's very clear if they're going to invest the time in something like this, that it was worth the money. Moving on. This one comes from videogameschronicle.com, and it says more than 1,200 video game journalists have left the media in the past 2 years and haven't returned to the industry. That's according to data supplied by VGC by Press Engine, a popular PR tool used by developers and publishers to distribute codes and press releases to a global database of journalists and content creators. According to Press Engine, more than 600 journalists who regularly covered video games at major outlets around the world have disappeared from their database in the last 12 months. Virtually the same number of people left their positions in the 12 months before that, the firm said, and haven't taken up roles at other media companies since. According to Press Engine's database of Tier 1 publications that cover games, which is defined as major websites, both specialist and mainstream, with seven-figure plus audiences, the global pool of games journalists has declined by 25% in just 2 years. The vast majority of these departures were from specialist games websites like IGN, Polygon, or GamePot. I think he meant GameSpot, but I'm not sure. If amateur, part-time, or freelance writers are included, the number of departures from the games media swells to more than 4,000 people since October of 2023. The figures highlight a significant drop in the number of people writing about video games, either because they've chosen to change professions or been affected by the wave of redundancies that have hit most major game publications since the pandemic. Like the games industry, the publications that cover video games have been rocked by a turbulent market since the highs of the COVID-19 pandemic. Media owners like IGN, Fandom, Gamer Network, and Valent have all cut jobs in the past year. According to Press Engine, co-founder Gareth Williams, the most significant contributors to job losses in the games media are an overall shift towards covering the biggest games, resulting in increased competition for those who remain and harmful changes introduced by the Google search engine. Quote, a culmination of a number of factors has cost video games journalism some of its brightest talents, Williams told VGC. The COVID highs, followed by a lack of diversification in content, diversification of advertising spend, Google's helpful content update summaries, and AI have all contributed to where we are now. Fan-led media might be the simplest route to consolidate revenue for publishers and secure the future for staff, but it's only the start. He added, in a consumer world where ad blocking is standard and games as a service and social media are communication tools, where children and adults form their relationships, hopefully not with each other, but with hopefully, video games media needs to evolve and innovate. Support your favorite publications before you don't have the choice. It goes on and talks a little bit more here as well. I'm familiar with Press Engine. I've had conversations with Gareth. I can't, speak to any of the changes that have been talked about there, but it's very obvious to us as people in the games industry that there are just less people talking and writing about video games from an academic perspective. There are many more creators, journalists, or like podcasters, video creators, all that kind of stuff. And of course, that is the wave. But we've lost a little bit of that culture that we were part of a few years ago. Even 5 years ago, it was much, much bigger and different than it is now.
Yeah.
Dave, I want you to chime in here and talk about the death of the games journalism industry. It's not dead by any means. There's still lots of people very involved and interested, but the slow decline or rapid decline.
Yeah, I one of the things that jumps out to me is the stuff that there is to cover is a little bit more difficult to make intriguing content on a regular basis in a traditional way. And what I mean by that is, like, you can only write so many articles about Fortnite And there's just so many more examples, like juggernaut examples of that in the industry, where it's like what has the industry's eyes is something that doesn't necessarily evolve in a way where there's new stuff to write about on a regular basis, whereas 10, 15 years ago, like every week there's a handful of new games coming out, or new game stories that are kind of arising. And I just think the way that the industry has evolved has made it more and more difficult to produce traditional content. And then if you look at it from the perspective of the audience who are consuming traditional media content, I think there's been a shift to video and short form content, and traditional articles are not as popular anymore. I don't know that there's nearly as many people now who sit down and read an article about a video game, which is where I think big media sites like IGN and GamePot kind of got their teeth. And it's easy to say that IGN can just kind of produce video, but then you're competing with millions of creators on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that. So I just think the industry has changed in a way where it's just tough for traditional written media to really kind of survive. And we all did it for several years, and producing video content was a lot more time consuming than writing an article. And not to disparage writing, but the amount of time that goes into kind of capturing all the B-roll, writing a script, editing it, and then finding the time outside of your 9 to 5 to put everything together, like it took a lot of time. So
yeah, and we were just a hobbyist. We were never like, I don't think any of us were trying to do it full time.
No, but even the people who were doing it full time were often doing it on contracts and stuff like that.
Right.
Like those jobs rarely pay well, and
Right.
I feel like the way that the global economy has kind of gone is I assume that it hasn't paid any better since we were doing it. So yeah, I do think audiences' ways of kind of consuming this kind of stuff has changed. I think this part of the industry has shrank somewhat, and I think the content that is out there to produce journalistic kind of media on has changed in a way where it's just tough. Like, how many articles can you really write about Warzone or Fortnite or something like that? So
Well, that's interesting, Dave, because I think part of the problem is that there are so many games coming out, but they move so quickly and get so little long tail on them for SEO and discoverability that a lot of people are abandoning writing about new games in favor of writing about games like Fortnite. I'm just using the example you gave, and all the updates that are constantly coming to it, and maybe drama surrounding it and creators, whatever, because they know that people will click on it and that it will continue to have SEO relevance versus Chronos: The New Dawn, which by all accounts was a decent game, but I barely saw anything about it because people didn't want to take the time to go away from there. We know people are going to click on this to take a chance on something that was outside of that. And I think there are a lot of big games and obviously small games, but even big games are suffering from the fact that, like, it's what we want. It's a single player narrative experience, but like that doesn't pay the bills. That doesn't get the clicks. That doesn't get the ad reach that you need to be able to survive. So like, I think your conclusion is correct, but I think it's actually the opposite. It's that people are writing more, if they're still writing, about that stuff that's infinitely clickable, or at least going to be very clickable right now, versus writing guides for double A games that come out and are maybe very good, but they just don't demand the attention that something like Fortnite does. I don't know. Brandon, what do you think? You're a notorious and well-versed writer.
Yeah, I've read a few in the day.
I would say that's a literal statement. How do you feel about this? And do you think there's something to be missed here?
No. I mean, the problem is that as a society, we have greatly moved away from the medium that is written word and branched more into a visual medium. I think there's also been a massive shift in individual content creation and the push towards the individual over the collective. And I think that the collective, like IGN, like VGA, like all those guys, the problem is they not only can't keep up because they're bigger, they require more resources to continue, but they also often lose the plot. And I feel like most of the time I would rather listen to something that Moist Critical has to say about a game other than IGN. And that's really it. Like they have the ability to continue to put out a good product. I feel like they just get bogged down with so much other bullshit being a massive business, whereas the individual can create solid content in half the time at a fraction of the cost. So I think the volume of content has increased exponentially. Written content, I think, is a dying medium, at least in today's world. I don't think that's a good thing, personally. Even as someone who doesn't enjoy that medium, so I guess I'm kind of hypocritical saying this.
Yeah, but you've never enjoyed it. It's not like you had a shift in your
right. But
yeah.
you know, this is something I wish about myself. I wish I enjoyed it more. I think it's a net negative for society, but I think the individual content creation often outshines the conglomerates for a good reason, and can be done at half the price. And that's exactly why these entities are failing.
I think there's one more aspect to it that maybe I'm overstating, but that's okay. Is that when I go to IGN, which I have no problem with IGN as a whole, just to put that out there, but
I do.
But when I go to IGN and I want to read a review, it might be from a person I've read or listened or watched a million of their reviews who's been around a long time, or it might be from some new freelancer that I've never heard of and I know nothing about. And I think from an objective standpoint, like that's good to have a variety of opinions. But I think from a human standpoint, where most of us are humans, we want consistency. If Brandon, you mentioned Moist Critical, so I'll use them as an example. If you've identified Moist Critical being someone that you align with their values and what they like in games, and if they like something, you'll probably enjoy it as well. It's much easier to continue going back to that same well for content to get your impressions on a game and know that they're going to align with your impressions than it is to go to a Polygon or an IGN or something like that, where it could just be some different person with totally different perspectives that you've never aligned with or never even known about. Right. So I think that the idea of having those almost relationships with, even though they're not relationships, with content creators that you have come to know and have expectations for is much more appealing on a broader level than like what this random person I don't know anything about think about this game.
Yeah.
So I think that's a piece of it as well. Now I don't know that that's why the business end of things is changing. Obviously, there's a lot of investors who saw a ton of money in the gaming journalism industry, sunk money into it, and then tried to milk every penny they could out of it, and they killed a lot of stuff, and that's not great. I would say it's actually the opposite of great. It's bad. But I do think that it has some impact, that people just want to have a little bit more of a longer relationship with the person that's telling them about the game that they may or may not invest $70 into. But that's just my thoughts. Dave, you want to take this Time Splitters article?
Sure. I just thought it was noteworthy.
Yeah.
But
I just haven't read it yet because I didn't see it before, so
that's fine. This comes from DSOG Dark Side of Gaming. Time Splitters Rewind will be released on November 23rd. Sinner Interactive has just announced that its upcoming fan remake of Time Splitters Rewind, will be released on November 23rd. To celebrate this announcement, the team shared a new trailer that you can find below. When I say below, I mean in the article, which isn't below the screen that you're seeing now, but you get the idea. Time Splitters Rewind is a fan-made project that acts like a greatest hits version of the original Time Splitters trilogy. It includes maps, game modes, leagues, challenges, and story content from all three games. Instead of being three separate remakes, Rewind is one single game that captures the spirit of the entire series. It's not just an HD collection, it's its own unique title. The game will feature tons of content from all three games. However, the first release will focus on a smaller selection of classic content and brand new additions. The article goes on to detail a little bit more about Time Splitters, but I wanted to throw this in just to quickly touch on because it's a fan made remake and that's cool. I think Time Splitters was, I don't know if it was a cult classic, maybe it was, but I think it's cool that Cinder is allowing and kind of actively promoting something made by fans. So
yeah,
cool. Do you guys
absolutely.
have any experience with Time Splitters?
No,
Zero.
Unfortunately not. I feel like I agree with you. The angle of it being interesting is good. I mean, this is something that oftentimes by larger companies is completely squashed. To see a celebration of this not only goes to show that the intentions of the thing were good, but that the developers backing it. I mean, it's just good overall.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say, but I think it's neat. I wish more games that have gone away would hand it over to fans and let them do their thing. Right now, of course, I guess we didn't talk about this at all, but the new big thing is that, Amazon shut down all their game studios. New World is shutting down. The Lord of the Rings game is canceled. But I don't know, get a decent group of fans that it's not just like a ragtag bunch of people, but maybe somebody who's actually got something going, and give them the ability to maintain it if they want to. I know there's a lot of legal ramifications there. I'm sure it's a mess, especially coming from Amazon's standpoint. But there's a huge community there that clearly isn't making enough money for Amazon, but could certainly support their own community. I think that'd be cool. So anyway, my point there is this is cool that Time Splitters is happening. Last news article is about Vermintide 3, or the lack thereof, and this comes because, I saw it and I thought it was cool, but also I've been playing Vermintide 2, so I put it here right before the what you've been playing section. It's from PC Gamer, and it says, quote, "We had a guy in Korea that broke Vermintide 1 because he had played it so much he hit in the background level 999 or something like that," says Victor Magnuson, currently design director of Darktide. "He just got stuck because it couldn't go above that number. We had to patch the game to allow him to play more because the number just couldn't go up. Then we started counting he must have played almost every waking hour since the game launched to be able to hit that number. So yeah, Vermintide and its 2018 sequel have some devoted players, happy to rinse the games in perpetuity as they work their way up the difficulty levels and run maps over and over until they perfect them. A good news for those hardcore Tide heads, Fat Shark plans to continue support for Vermintide 2, which has already grown so much it barely resembles the game we reviewed 7 years ago." Again, this is PC Gamer. "On the 10th anniversary of Vermintide, Fat Shark revealed its roadmap of plans for Darktide and Vermintide 2. Both games have months of support sketched out, but what's to come after that? Well, it won't be Vermintide 3. As design director explains, Vermintide 2 still has a lot of places to go." And they go on and talk about what all that is. But basically they're saying we're not just going to flip this game into a sequel to make a little more money. We're going to continue supporting the people who have supported us, and go on forward there. I started playing this, so Locke and Brad and Justin were kind of talking about wanting to play Vermintide 2, and I thought, I've never played that. I don't even know it. I don't want to go buy a game I'm not really interested in playing. Not because I didn't think it was going to be good or anything, just I didn't know about it. And it was $1 on Steam. There's lots of DLC, but it was on sale for $1.19 or something like that. So it was an easy pickup. And it's really good. And there's so much replayability. Just think Warhammer, the Warhammer version of Left 4 Dead, and you'll kind of understand what this game is. You're progressing through levels. You're knocking out waves of enemies. You're taking a stand and you're trying to get to the end of the level all alive. A lot of the same mechanics and everything as Left 4 Dead. I think there's probably some heavy inspiration there, but I've put a good bit of time into it over the last week or so, and by that I mean usually we'll jump on for an hour and just do a few runs of something, and sometimes we get further and sometimes we don't, but that's always a lot of fun. The basic loop is that you're all kind of in a starting area. You pick a mission, you go out, you complete the mission, hopefully you get experience, you come back, you get your rewards and upgrade your character from there. There are multiple different classes and then different variants of those classes as well. You can change your cosmetics. That's where a lot of the money is tied up in this game. There's so many different cosmetics that you can buy, an incredible amount of cosmetics actually. There's also some you can get just with in-game currency, but of course they don't look as cool. You can't get the cool mustache for the guy I play if you don't spend real money, so I won't have it. But this game, I really wanted to talk about the business behind this game. Like, it's an older game at this point. It's 8 years old now, 7 years old, but it's still got, I think, on average, every time I've looked at it, it has like 2,500 to 3,000 active players on SteamDB. And I think during the day, like its 24-hour peak is usually around 5,000-6,000. I had a big bump earlier this year with an update, but it's still doing very well for as old as it is. And part of that's probably got to do with the price. Part of it's got to do with the fact that it's infinitely replayable, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm having a lot of fun with this game. And the barrier to entry is so low that it's like, why not? Like, just hop in. And that seems to be the consensus amongst a lot of different people. So I'm happy that they're going to continue to support it. Obviously, it would be very easy for them. They've got a dedicated community that would not only hop in for another game from these individuals, but also like a Warhammer community that's very active and engaged that would be all over any game that they make. So I'm pleased to see it. Do either of you have any experience with any Warhammer games besides 40K, maybe?
Just 40K,
yeah. My Deep Rock Galactic streamer that I watch, he plays Vermintide 2 quite a bit. And I when you mentioned that you had started playing it, I was like, I need to pick this up now because I've been watching it for so long.
Yeah.
But sure enough, it's not crossplay. So.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Honestly,
it appears to be the kind of game where playing with people probably enhances the experience, especially if is it sweaty? Would you describe it as sweaty, or
there's multiple different difficulty levels,
right?
So you can make it as sweaty or as not sweaty as you want it to be. Okay. We breezed right through, like, I don't know, 8-ish levels on varying difficulties with only one attempt, and then now we've been stuck on one for like 5 or 6 runs in a row. We just can't get past it because we increased the difficulty and the levels a little harder. So we could easily move that difficulty down if we weren't so stubborn. And we'd probably get through it just fine because we've gotten almost to the end multiple times. But so I wouldn't describe it as sweaty, but I would describe it as like chaotic fun would be a good way to kind of label it. But yeah, Dave, honestly, I was going to say, this game, I'm getting like on extreme graphics, like 600 to 700 frames. I have a feeling it's a game from 2018. Like you could check it out for $1.50 or $2 or whatever it is. Put it on the lowest setting, see if it runs on your computer, and if not, refund it pretty quickly. If you really are interested in playing it, I don't think there's not a big barrier there, and I think it's an old enough game, it might run decently, even if you have to adjust the settings a little bit.
So update. I was talking about Darktide, not Vermintide.
Okay.
Right. They're similar, right?
They're similar things, yeah. They're the different universes, different worlds. Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's Vermintide 2, both the news story and my experience playing it. What else do I got to talk about here? I've been playing... Well, you know what? Let's let Dave go, and then Brandon and I can talk about the games we've been playing that are similar.
Sure. I do have one other news story.
Sure.
Just to briefly mention.
This is a troll, isn't it?
We don't normally talk about, when Sony announces a state of play or a Nintendo Direct is announced. We don't care about that. But this is special. Jacob in the Ghost Ship Games has announced, miners, we hope you have your sea legs ready for in 2 weeks' time. We're setting sail for another On the Horizon live stream from Ghost Ship Games on Thursday, November 13th, 2025 at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We'll dive into what's going on behind the scenes at our headquarters. This is where it gets good. The 2 main topics will be Deep Rock Galactic and Deep Rock Rogue Core. We can't say much more than that right now, but we're confident that everyone will want to be there for it. So we may finally get some new content for Deep Rock Galactic and maybe a release date for Rogue Core. So I just wanted to squeeze that in there because Rock and Stone,
Rock and Stone, man.
Rock and Stone.
I haven't been playing a whole lot just because I have a bit of an injury. Side story.
Brain injury.
The show isn't long enough already, but I have a mandolin at home that I'm terrified to use because I don't know what it is. Every time I even look at a mandolin, I just arterial bleeding starts.
I have a really important question.
Okay.
Are you talking about the instrument or the food device?
The
thing.
food processing device. Yeah.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah. So I used one this week, and I used it to cut a Roma tomato, 2 Roma tomatoes to be exact. No injuries. All of my fingers were still intact. I then put it in the sink, and then I put some other stuff in the sink, and then I went to grab something in the sink, and sure enough, sliced my hand. My hand is gone. You know it. I don't know what it is. I pulled that thing out, and I can't manage to not hurt myself. But anyways, it was
Just don't put it in your bedroom.
small cut on my index finger, and that was a gamer injury because I couldn't play for a couple days. But before
you are entitled to compensation for that.
Yeah,
so you know.
I know.
You're gonna be benched. I'm sorry.
I'm on the 10-day IL.
Actually, don't buy Vermintide 2 now that I think about it.
Before the injury, I checked out the Halloween event in Borderlands 4, which was pretty disappointing just because the big thing was like a jack-o'-lantern head, which looks really cool, but in order to get it, all you had to do was enter a shift code, which I find that really kind of underwhelming. Like, give me a mission or a couple of missions that I have to complete where the end reward is that cool cosmetic like they do in a Deep Rock. The other thing they added was all of the world bosses have like this blood rain effect. Nothing changes about the bosses themselves, just this visual effect. I guess that's cool. And they added a couple of legendaries that were drops from said world bosses. So overall, pretty disappointing. Again, the jack-o'-lantern head looks good. I just wish I could have done something a little bit more substantive than just entering a shift code to get it. The other thing I played this week was I spent some more time in Skate Early Access, and still really enjoying the game. It's a really fun open world to just kind of skate around in. They do need more in the game to kind of keep me in. I think there is a good amount of kind of cosmetics in the game right now, and there's stuff that I haven't spent any money yet, but I think, you know, I like looking at like the different shirts and stuff that I wear, and I am tempted to kind of pay money to unlock some cool stuff, but they need to add collectibles to the game, because other than just going around and doing missions or just skating freely, there isn't a whole lot to do. I did look ahead at the roadmap, and that is one of the things that's on there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this game kind of evolves. But as it stands today, it's still free. It's worth checking out, but I think it needs some more time to cook for it to be kind of a really strong experience that I can recommend. So yeah, that's it for me.
Nice. I'm constantly tempted to jump in the Skate, and I just can't. I just can't do it. First of all, there's too much else to play, but also I just can't. Brandon, I think you and I have mostly been playing similar things. I do want to mention before we start talking about these, that Arc Raiders comes out tomorrow. And I did something I haven't done in years, a decade or two, maybe even potentially. I bought the Ultimate Edition of this game on Steam. Now, granted, it's only $60 in comparison to the $40 that the regular version costs, and it really just comes with cosmetics and some currency. But I had to do it.
Yeah,
I had to do it.
It was fun when I've tried it.
Yeah. I figure I'm going to buy a battle
yeah.
pass, so throw in another $10 already on top of the price. Might as well get the currency. I don't know. I'm a shill. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm excited for it, though. But in the meantime, we've been playing other things. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're still playing Battlefield 6. Season 1 came out yesterday, I think. So that's cool. Pretty decent update. For 2 weeks after launch, we got a new map, new guns, new cosmetics. The store went live, and the BR, as well as a couple other associated game modes. So, yeah, I had a little bit of time to play that, and can say that the BR mode is fun. I think it's going to continue to evolve as time goes on, but even in its infancy, I feel like I have enjoyed the experience so far. I want to give it a little bit more time to kind of marinate, get some more games in, try to understand better. But it's been a fun experience. That and in the past week, I did complete the campaign as well, which was non-surprisingly the weakest point of the entire experience with Battlefield 6. Excessively weak. I was just ready for it to be over. I did do all the collectibles and did all the mission-specific challenges, but even that only took like 5 or 6 hours. So kind of just did it for the cosmetics that I'm going to be getting and the rest of the part of the game that I'm going to be playing, but it wasn't bad overall. It just was incredibly forgettable and uninspired. So
Yeah.
which is okay.
Oh, kind of expect it from these games.
Right.
That's why we need Bad Company 2 back.
Yeah.
A remake. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the BR, about Redacted Sector, as they call it. This game's BR is, I don't know, there's something there that's different than a lot of other battle royales. And I don't know if it's just because it's new or we've never seen a battle royale, or at least I've never played personally a battle royale in Battlefield, but it's really good. It's solid. The map idea is really cool, where instead of having like a storm or something that's coming in, you have a fire that's coming in, and for some reason the fire is in a perfect circle around the zone, which moves uniformly and everything, which is a little bit unbelievable, but it looks fantastic. And every experience I'm having in this battle royale is cinematic. Like, it feels like I'm in a movie, like I'm running away from a terror that's increasing in danger every moment. The way you hop out of the plane is pretty cool. It's very reminiscent of Apex, where you have one person who chooses. I mean, you can break off from them if you want, but they choose when to jump, where you're going. Your whole squad goes there. It creates a lot less variance in where everybody's landing, which is nice, especially when you're playing with a random or something like that isn't necessarily in your squad. I really love the way that the guns function. Of course, eventually you can go and get your loadout or your preferred weapon or whatever like that. But in the meantime, pretty much any of the ground weapons are competitive. And while you're using those ground weapons, you can also find kits to upgrade your weapon to the next level, which makes the experience a lot less frustrating, because you're not just picking up pure garbage all the time. But also, it makes it a little bit dynamic, because maybe this time the upgrade that you get will allow you to upgrade your gun to have a better scope, or maybe it'll allow you to have better recoil or something like that. So just because you get the same gun and the same upgrade kit in 2 different matches, you may have 2 different experiences to some extent, which I think is a cool addition. The fact that there are vehicles that really matter, like tanks and I think I know there's some aircraft that we haven't accessed yet, other than helicopters. But
helicopters. Yeah.
The fact that and we didn't have that experience in that helicopter very long, thanks to Brandon. But that's really cool in this game, where you can, it still feels like Battlefield, because there's these big epic moments and there's vehicles and everything. The shooting obviously feels like Battlefield because it is Battlefield. The respawn, I think, is pretty cool. It's not just like go to a box and pay some money and it instantly deploys. You have to go and like sit on a beacon that you have to wait. I don't know. It's probably 15 or 30 seconds to redeploy somebody if they've gone, and then they come back. There's also the mechanic that in the first, I don't know, third or half of the match, if you die, you can respawn as long as your team stays alive. I think your team has to stay alive. I'm not positive on that. No, it doesn't, because we all died one time and it brought us back.
Yeah, there's a window where everyone can just respawn at least once for free.
Right, which is cool, that you don't have to go to the gulag or something and then have your team respawn you or whatever. I think that's a cool difference in mechanics from other battle royales. There's just a lot of stuff about it that's neat. In the actual battle royale, there's also all sorts of missions. Now, of course, you have missions and things like Warzone and everything, but these missions unlock different gear and equipment and allow you to kind of change the gameplay kind of dramatically while doing it. And they also all create an opportunity for you to be ambushed, which is cool. Or for you to ambush other people if they're the ones doing the missions instead. So we probably played, I don't know, a couple hours last night and had a lot of fun. There's also a couple other modes, like Brandon mentioned, that we did a little bit of experimentation with, but not a lot. The one, I can't remember what it's called, but it's not a battle royale, but you start out in a team of 4, and there's like, I don't know, 10 teams of 4 top 6 progress to the second round, top 6 or top however many of those progress to the next round, and then the third round is even less, and then the final round is just 2 people, and there's different types of missions. I've played 2 games of this, and I've only had 1 repeat of a mission across, and I made it to the final mission every time. So the fact that like there's some good variance there, it's not the exact same thing every time, is really cool. So overall, I'm enjoying it. I think it will be cool to like really get in and play with loadouts. I have, very few weapons in comparison to the entire game unlocked, because in the regular Battlefield mode, I've mostly been trying to just level up similar weapons. But in this, when you're getting ground loot and picking it up, you're still earning XP for weapons you've never even played with in the game, which is neat. So I'm enjoying Season 1 and the BR so far. Of course, only 1 night in, so there's a lot to be experienced. There's parts of the map we definitely haven't even ever seen or been interacted with, so who knows what they hold. But I'm having fun with it. I'm excited to play some more. I've been thinking about it all day.
And then RV there yet?
RV there yet?
Yeah, it's another Friends Lab game. I think we might have talked about it last week. But I don't think we had played it yet.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. It's really interesting. As someone who comes from a rural area, I'm very familiar with the concept of mudding, and it embodies that fairly well in a very silly way. You also get to just rip cigs with the boys and cook hamburgers. Like, it is actually a game mechanic. The buttons 1, 2, and 3 are all designated to what you're doing with your cigarette in this game. No joke. So it's wonderful. It's truly wonderful, and it feels like a game for the boys. Like, it really, really, really does. And challenging, cute, and it's just good Friends Lab, man.
Yeah.
It's not incredibly complex, but it's just complex enough to like make you think. A couple of the times, I think we spent way longer than we should have trying to get our RV like up this makeshift elevator till we like it. I kind of felt like an engineer a couple times trying to figure out how to set these planks perfectly on an elevator to make the RV not fall through the bottom of this wooden plank elevator. So a lot of good fun. Not too complicated, but just complicated enough. A really cool manual transmission in the RV that's a lot of fun to drive. So overall, would highly recommend this with a group of friends.
Yeah.
Highly, highly, highly.
Yeah, for those who are unaware maybe of what RV There Yet is, it's basically a game where you and some buddies get in an RV and you have to drive it. And that's the very basic. I mean, also smoking cigarettes is a very important aspect of the game. Don't get me wrong, but the experience therein can be, all over the place. You're driving an RV and just trying to get to another place. But in the meantime, you have a lot of environmental factors. You've got ditches you have to figure out how to get over. You've got very narrow pathways you have to go through, etc. You also have wildlife like bees and snakes. Are there bees? Did I make that up?
Mm-hmm.
There are bees? Or did I make it up? Brandon is...
Just snakes.
This is really good podcast behavior.
Just snakes, bro. That we've seen. Snakes and bears.
Yeah. Snakes and bears so far. Maybe I saw like a honeycomb or something. I don't know. But you have to interact with that wildlife and either escape it. Your RV breaks down as you go, and I don't mean breaks down in an engine way, although it can do that. You have to add oil to it.
It physically falls apart.
But it physically falls apart, and you get attacked by a bear, and it attacks the RV. So you have to repair it. You have to gather scrap to be able to repair it. You can gather other things that help you along. Of course, if you're missing any health, your character's missing any health, you can cook hamburgers. If you need to run a little faster, you can smoke a cigarette, which is definitely scientific, that cigarette smoking makes you run faster.
And drinking beer helps you push things harder.
Yeah, it gives you beer muscles.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, that is a real thing. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun in the aspect of like doing stupid stuff with your buddies. Like, that's what this game is about. It just happens to be centered in an environment where you're driving an RV and trying to get it. There's lots of like narrow roads you have to figure out. Brandon is like the king of the role play because you have a wheel of emotes, And instead of like, there's proximity chat, but instead of just Brandon standing outside of the RV telling us like move forward, he's standing outside of the RV yelling move forward and also using the emote that motions for you to move forward.
Like, back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Just like spamming the emote for Dustin to keep coming all.
I think that we probably said back it up Terry 900 times in the course of like a 2 or 3 hour play session. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's a blast. We haven't had a chance. We haven't had our schedules aligned to be able to play more, but we played, I don't know, probably like 3 hours the first night. This is a developer responded to someone on Steam or in Discord or something and gave them a solution to making this game available to more players. They said, of course, it's not made for that, so don't expect it to work perfectly, but we were able to install that mod and get a 5th player in as well, which I really don't think there's much of like an advantage or disadvantage to having an extra player. But it made it just so that we could all play together even more. So that's a really cool feature that, the developers like actually help support, like go into the code and do this. And that was neat. So I'm really enjoying RV there. Yeah, I think it's a hysterical game. I think it's also like from a business standpoint, it's a phenomenal model, or like it's a freak thing. But like when they set this game's Steam page live, they didn't even mean to. If you read any of the developer stuff, they weren't intending on making it public yet, and they accidentally pushed the button to make the game public, and it gained like a bunch of wish lists, in the first few days just because of its curb appeal, essentially. And then, of course, having a little bit of connection with them previously being at Coffee Stain and all that kind of stuff helped fuel it in the days thereafter. But it just kind of went viral, for lack of a better way to say it, and a lot of people picked it up. So it's a cool business study as well. It's like $7 or $8 on Steam right now.
I think it's $8 full price.
Is it $8 full price? Okay,
I think, yeah.
So it's a cool little experience if you've got a couple buddies, and I definitely think like there are mechanics in it, especially like the emotes and stuff, to enable you to play with randoms. I don't know if there's matchmaking. We didn't have to worry about that. But I would imagine this is very much, as Brandon said, a game for the boys or girls, where you're playing with a group of people and experiencing it. The one complaint I had about the game was that it did not seem to matter how far I was from someone until I got very, very, very far from them. I could still hear them. If I was dead, they could still hear me. And while that's great for being able to communicate and like make things a little easier, it kind of takes a little bit of the, I don't know, realism, if you want to call it that, out of it, because like, I don't know, if you're dead, you're not going to be able to talk to your buddies and tell them that there's a bear over there. But other than that, like, it's just a fun experience. So
yeah, it's just goofy.
Yeah, check it out if you can. And I think that's it.
That's it.
Anybody else have anything to say before we get going?
Let's go Blue Jays.
Let's go Blue Jays.
Go Sports.
He's one of those guys. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Thanks for checking us out. Don't forget, head over to Patreon at patreon.com/handsomephantom. We appreciate you very much. And join our Discord and hang out with us at handsomephantom.com/Discord. Goodbye, everyone.